Chris Paul added yet another notch in his fourth quarter belt against the Mavericks in Game 2, dropping 14 in the first 6 minutes of the quarter to completely break open the game. And it came at the expense of Dallas's best player, Luka Doncic. Luka has been dominant on the offensive side of the ball after returning late in the first round from a calf strain, and following 45 scintillating points in Game 1, he added 35 more in Game 2 before running out of gas in the fourth. As always, Doncic's impact is about more than just his scoring, methodically backing down a mismatch until help comes, then finding the open man, and Dallas has good extra passers. In pick-and-roll situations, Phoenix likes to drop DeAndre Ayton, and Luka turns that into a switch and happily goes to work, driving and kicking to his arsenal of long-range shooters. I loved this sequence where he attacks Ayton downhill, stops to seal off his defender, then punishes Ayton with a lob to the far side of the cup. On the very next play, it's the same spread pick-and-roll setup. Luka attacks Ayton again, and he's expecting DeAndre and this defender to be helping on a lob, so he spits it out for a wide-open triple. There was also this dose of Luka magic, where he comes off a screen looking for that same lob, but whips it to the corner. That stalls out, so he gets the ball back with 3 seconds on the clock, and somehow hits the corner again for a 4-point play. So, Luka has hurt the Suns' defense, with Dallas posting a 119 offensive rating in his minutes on the floor. So in Game 2, Phoenix attacked him on defense. First, it was Devin Booker, who blew by Doncic off the bounce late in the clock for free throws, and then it was Jay Crowder, of all people, attacking Luka's soft closeout 2 minutes later. The next time down, it was the same thing, with Paul whipping it to Crowder, Luka getting out over his skis, and then Jay setting up another JaVale McGee bunny. But those were just hors d'oeuvres before the Chris Paul entree, getting a mid-court screen here so he could skip downhill into a little fadeaway on the baseline. Remember, Paul turns 37 this week, and he's been a fourth quarter assassin in Phoenix, authoring a perfect 14 for 14 game to close out New Orleans on a night where he burned just about every Pelican defender. The venerable Herb Jones couldn't keep him from his rhythm mid-range jumper against a dropping big, and even when the Pels brought the big out to meet Paul at the three-point line, he waited for them to retreat and dropped in a 3. Rookie Jose Alvarado was taken to rip through school by Paul, and he even drew a foul on the veteran CJ McCollum by flailing his arms into him, and he somehow Jedi mind-tricked the officials into thinking this is an actual basketball play, where McCollum then guarded Paul with his hands literally clasped behind his back, because defenders aren't allowed to have arms anymore, apparently. In Game 2, Paul sent Dorian Finney-Smith to the bench with the rip-through, although I'm not sure it mattered because he mainly had Luka in his crosshairs, telling Doncic's man to set the screen, so he would have to switch onto Paul, and then Chris can pull him out and isolate, and he's barely in his stance before Paul hopscotches back for 2 more. The next time down, Luka's on Cam Johnson, so he sets the screen, and after an automatic switch, Paul stabs at the paint but backs it out, only to just go right by Luka and collapse the defense, which leads to a little Cam Johnson runner. Luka is a big body at 6'7", and despite a lot of defensive improvements, he's still vulnerable to quickness out in space on the perimeter. Booker left him in the dust in Game 1, but some of this also looks like fatigue and conditioning as the game wore on. Here's the possession right before Paul's last drive, with Luka nearly losing it around this screen, and then he's on the floor for a good 4 or 5 seconds before creeping back onto his feet like a wounded boxer, and then he remains pretty stationary for the rest of the possession. So it's not too surprising that a few seconds later, he looked like a telephone pole on the other end. Doncic and Paul went to the bench after that, and it was Booker, the other head of the Phoenix Snake, skipping a beautiful dish to the corner for a wide open three. With everyone back in the fourth, Booker attacked Doncic off this handoff, and Dallas doesn't want to switch this now, so Luka waits for Finney-Smith to recover. That forces Help to slide over, and on the swing, gives Paul this little moment to fake a drive and fire off a clean three, and it was officially CP3 o'clock, bringing Luka into the pick and roll. But this time he knows his defender isn't switching, so he immediately kicks it to an open Cam Johnson on the pop for a good look to put the Suns up 7. On the next trip, they set the screen higher, which forces a Dallas switch, and after Luka pokes the ball away, he probably expects a pull-up from 3 or something in the mid-range, but Paul just dances all the way home with the left. Finally, the Mavs adjust their defense to pre-switch away from the ball, with Luka staying on the low block so they can't force a switch. But it doesn't matter because CP3 is rolling now, and he just dances with Kleba before crossing back for a huge fadeaway. The next time down, you can see the Dallas adjustment again, with Luka on the low block, so he can cover the man in the corner, and the other off-ball defenders in the paint can match up as needed. And it takes a second for the Suns to figure out what they're doing against this defense, which turns it into a rare successful stop for the Mavs. It's still only a 6-point game until Luka loses it to Johnson, who steals it from his back, and Paul ends up with it and breaks out in transition to throw a perfect lob to Mikal Bridges. Then Paul draws an offensive foul on the inbounds, and before anyone can catch their breath, he's driving it back into the paint, then busting out a filthy up and under move, and suddenly the Suns are up 10. And I'm not sure if Dallas was thinking about its pick and roll coverages or just assuming Paul would pass, but no one steps up to help in the paint, and it's an easy shot after the up fake. After a Dallas timeout, they put Luka back in the ball screen. This time he stays with the drive, so Paul just peels back for a mid-ranger, and since Dallas was back to switching, Paul put Luka in the pick and roll again, took him through the full spin cycle, and with no big men for Dallas, scored his 18th point in the last 11 minutes. And yes, on the very next possession, he attacked Doncic in pick and roll. This time Dallas didn't switch, so Paul moved it along for some beautiful extra passing in a 4-on-3 and a punctuating dunk to give Phoenix a 17-point lead and a 2-0 edge in the series. And in a 3.5-minute avalanche to start the fourth quarter, Chris Paul scored or created 21 straight points to take Game 2 from Luka Doncic and the Dallas Mavericks. If you want additional content, head over to patreon.com/thinkingbasketball. There's a Game 1 breakdown between the Celtics and the Bucks from this week, our proprietary stats leaderboard that updates daily, where you can see Chris Paul's incredibly strong statistical argument as the best player in the playoffs after 3 weeks. Thanks as always for watching this one all the way until the end, and wherever you are watching, I hope you are having a great day.